Time to take a look at the Talon Tough Tools grid, which reflects their finishing positions in the opening race. And we know that Tander is the top man. As we roll through the positions, let's highlight some big movers. Steve Johnson went from 18th to 10th. Cameron McConville went from 21st to 14th. Brad Jones made up 7 positions, 24th to 17th. And Jason Barguana made up 8, going from 27th to 19th. And as we saw yesterday, Neil, it is tough to pass here.
There's only really a couple of opportunities, and even one of those is a bit suspect. Probably the best opportunities on the run into turn 6, where you come down the back straight, 255 odd kilometres an hour, and if you're able to get yourself in position, you can sneak down the left-hand side there. The problem with having a lunge down at the hairpin is that it's diminishing returns as you get right to the centre of that corner, and invariably cars tangle up down there, and it's extremely difficult down at turns 1 and 2 because of the undulations in the road. That doesn't discourage people from having a go occasionally.
We roll right back to David Brabham, who will start from the rear of the field. A quick update, Darryl Beattie.
Yes, Lee, had a quick chat to Mark Skaife's team from yesterday. He had a bad result locking rear brakes, both he and Todd down at the hairpin. And the team mentioned that they were trying a different compound pattern. Even when you and Neil and I were down there on Friday, the rear brakes or the brakes on that car were quite noisy and squeaky, which gave us the idea maybe compounds could be different. They've gone to a different system today. They said we're much better. And Paul Morris is starting from pit lane, just in case there's any incidents down into turn 1.
Our onboard shots, as always, and we take this opportunity to welcome Williams Formula 1 driver Mark Webber. Great to see you, Mark. Thanks for spending some time with us.
No problem at all. It's really good to be here, actually. I think I'm down here for trying to get things organised for the Mark Webber Challenge at the end of next year, but it's great always to come watch a fantastic car race. The sun's out, so I don't know a huge amount about it, but I'm a spectator, so that was great.
Well, enjoy it.
And you're also down here, Mark, to launch the Australian Formula 1 Grand Prix for 2006. We're all looking forward to that next year. Round 3 in the championship, first time that we've not kicked off the series as a result of the Commonwealth Games. But we've got 32 V8 supercars lining up now, and as we discussed in yesterday's coverage, for those people that are mid-grid and back, you end up starting on a corner, which is always an awkward thing to do in a race car.
Remember to keep an eye on the championship hopefuls. Russell Ingall is the points leader. Ambrose and Lowndes had consistent days yesterday. Will Tander be able to make it 2 from 2? Spoke with Stephen Richards last night. He's quite confident, very pleased with his car. But this event has been dominated by Holdens, and flying the flag for Ford is Ambrose. Can he win in front of his home crowd for his last drive in a V8 supercar in Tasmania? Big crowd, great weather, and so far the racing has been fabulous. And think of Kelly and Skaife trying to force their way through from midfield. Set to go for race 2. Tander is on the right, Richards on the left. And a fairly even start. Marcus Ambrose, tremendous start. He gets the jump on Rick Kelly, and it's Tander and Richards arguing. But Garth Tander will lead them into turn 1. It was a clean opening lap yesterday. Will it be the same today?
One of the HRT cars has gone to the inside of turn 2, tangled up with the tyre barrier down there. Anthony Tratt's gone wide on 2 as well. Great jump from Tander. Richards got through cleanly. Ambrose leapt ahead of Kelly off the line. Someone's in the dirt, one of the Dodo cars, and that's Jamie Whincup. He'll go all the way to the gravel trap there, but it does arrest him. Fortunately, doesn't make contact with the barrier, so big problem there. Car number 33 off. Somebody's tagged McConville on the exit of turn 4, and he's gone right down to the grass where it's wet. It'll be quite difficult to get the car back out of there.
Whincup's day ended at the Ferodo hairpin yesterday, and it looks to be the same today. And there was someone else off in the background with McConville as well. Richards and Bright, and safety car has been deployed, understandably.
Move off now, safety car, just 60 kilometres an hour.
Voice of Tim Schenken, the race director. Safety car deployed because of the amount of dirt and garbage on the road down there, and it was delivered onto the racetrack by an HRT car, and I suspect that was Mark Skaife based on his starting position. And Todd Kelly's come into the lane as well. He's got something wrong with the right rear. Looks like the tyre is off the rim, so that compounds an ugly weekend for him.
Frantic opening lap, Mark.
Yeah, it's obviously a very, very, very tight circuit, and they're all scrambling for every little bit of real estate they can get. Obviously, it's very, very easy to get in contact with each other, and they've settled down behind the safety car now, and that might help some of the other guys with their brake issues. You have a few laps on the safety car as well. So
here we are on board with Mark Skate, looking to make a way round to the left-hand side of David Bernard. And it was Mark that went down through the inside.
Zinger replay of the start. Watch to the right-hand side of the screen after they all file through. There's the tyre bundle that gets collected.
So the reason for Todd's right rear tyre problem is a bit of a mystery still at this point. So it was Skate that dragged the tyres out there, and Anthony Tratt ended up running wide. So I suspect that Todd's problem started back here. He's made contact with Jamie Whincup in all this nonsense back in the mid-pack, and Jamie's arrowed down there. The gravel trap did its job.
Neil, we're not sure if he's had Jamie's collected him on the way through here, but you can see by this wheel here where maybe one of these wheel nuts is collected here. It's broken it here, and the tyre's gone down, they're in and out.
And one of the Orcon cars was tangling with McConville there. Didn't actually pick up who that was. It was Bargwana, was it, in the 100 car? If you didn't catch our coverage yesterday, Jason's on his 100th Australian Touring Car Championship event start. And he's also, of all things, got the chicken pox as we look at Anthony Tratt.
He's ploughed into Bowie, and Bowie's hit the first.
Anthony Tratt in the Toll Commodore just explaining to his team what has transpired.
Big shark bite out of that rim. That's the right rear rim off Todd Kelly's car. So that's popped the tyre off the bead of the rim. Seaton had a clutch problem yesterday. He's already had 2 engine changes so far this weekend. So if he's rubbed the wall down there, that certainly won't put a smile on his face. They're not changing the compulsory pit stop window. The race director, Tim Schenken's, just informed the paddock that it will still open at the end of lap 5.
Mark, we have a very intense championship at the moment as we look at the Zinger replay of Seaton. Watch car 18. Smack. Ricochets off. What are your thoughts on the opening stanza?
well, yeah, it's incredibly competitive. Obviously, the cold tyres, Scafey looked like he just ran out a little bit grip there, a little bit wide, and it's so easy on such a narrow track, obviously, to get in someone else's accident. And looks like obviously Glenn there as well on slightly cooler tyres, ran a quick little kink, just touching the barrier. So they're absolutely on it. There's no question about it.
And until the tyre temperatures and pressures normalise for the first couple of laps, you can't quite get through turn 3 comfortable flat. It's one of those where you suction cup to the seat there for a minute while you just get it all sorted out.
Ambrose on board with the Pertec Ford. Marcus became a father. We congratulate he and his wife Sonia, baby Tabitha. And a nice present for the end of the season. It'd be an additional present if he were to win his 3rd consecutive V8 Supercar Championship, and he is well in contention for that.
53.3, fastest man on the track, Garth Tander. 0.6 is the margin. They're able to use a little more space down at turn 2 now the tyre bundle's gone, so that just effectively widens the track, opens the corner radius. So teams now being called up and down the lane, drivers being called to come in. 53.2, Craig Lowndes has done the quickest lap now. He's in position 5. Tander, Richards, Ambrose, Rick Kelly.
In this lap, make a good in lap.
Stephen Richards radio.
And they're going to try and do what Garth Tander did to the Castrol Perkins team yesterday. Darryl.
The wheels are coming out in pit lane now. Lee, the wheels are out for Russell Ingall and Greg Murphy up this end of the pit lane. Also watching Ambrose now starting to haunt Richards as they come into pit lane. Ambrose now got clear track. Is this going to be an advantage for him like Tander yesterday?
We'll find out. Glenn Seaton and Brad Jones tangle.
Yeah, they decided to clear Ingall off the back of Dumbrell because he was being held. Clear air is critical. 2 or 3 tenths of a second can be enough to vault you in front of the next guy.
Stop.
This was a critical stop yesterday. This team was very efficient. Got the job done. It was a great in and out lap. Matty Nilsson making the call. Cars out. And yesterday, good work by that crew got Garth Tander to the lead.
Tander has beaten Richards out, and look at this. Ingall, that was swift work by the Caltex team.
Straight out there, please.
Very important for the driver, obviously, to put the car on the marks for the boys as well, because they can easily make the stop a lot more complicated for the guys on the guns if they're out of position, which is looks like everyone did a very good job there as well.
Race leader Marcus Ambrose, and he's got a healthy margin over Rick Kelly. Lowndes has moved up to third. Fourth is Dumbrell, Johnson, Bright, Wilson, Richards, Jason, that is Radicic, and Paul Wheel, the top 10.
Before you left for Europe, Mark, how many of these guys did you race in some of the junior categories, Formula Ford and so on?
Yeah, I raced Stephen Richardson, Jason Bright, and Jason Barguana actually, so in Formula Ford in 95, or Stephen Richards the end of 94, so yeah, I raced all those guys, and there's a few other guys, like Garth Tander and some guys that started Formula Ford a year after I left, so it's good to see they're doing really well.
And probably good to catch up with some old mates up and down the pit lane here today. You look like a politician wandering up and down. I saw you at one point and you were doing the baby kiss and the handshake from one end to the other.
Yeah, it's always good to see the guys, and they were all racing fans, and it was good to catch up with everyone. And of course James Courtney as well, caught up with James. He's looking forward to next year. Very tight. That's obviously McConville coming up behind Barguana. So it's the outlaps are crucial for these guys as well. Obviously, it's very easy to pass in the pit lane. It's a less risk option in terms of trying to do it on track.
Let's see if Lowndes can gain any ground here on Rick Kelly.
Watch your pit speed. Turn off your CBS lights.
Oh, that's tight between Dumbrell and Lowndes. Rick Kelly's on the left of your screen, and Kelly's out. Nice work, HSV dealer team.
Ambrose has decided to stay out. They had his wheels out, but in the distance and not too far. I'd imagine the next few laps he's going to be onto the back of some traffic, and it's one of the few Jitsu cars, so he's going to have to make a call there so he doesn't get any disadvantage from the clear track he's had.
He's really trying to open up the opportunity at the moment. He's got a 5-second margin. That's Ambrose to Stephen Johnson. He's got clear air. He's trying to make the most of it. And then before he tangles with any preceding traffic, as Ellery has a look underneath Russell Ingall, they'll call him in and then they'll do that compulsory tyre stop. But at the moment, while he's got a good car and good clean air, they'll maximise that advantage. 52.7 Stephen Richards, he's down in 15th at the moment. Zinger replay. And this is why Brad Jones and Glenn Seaton, David Bernard got together. And that started from further back in the pack. There was a bit of nudging and it ended up in these two guys who are actually quite good friends getting turned around up at the hairpin.
On board with Ambrose now as he squeezes by Dean Canto. Had a fairly frustrating opening race yesterday. Will not drive that car for Phillip Island. Stay tuned as to who will. But it looks certain that Canto will be with that team full-time in season 2006. Ambrose is in.
52.5 for Stephen Richards on lap 9. So that was Marcus on the radio.
Okay, mate, just flick the light off for us.
This team have been brilliant in the Snickers Pit Stop Challenge. They've been very fast and they'll need to be again.
Just okay.
He's talking about the brakes there, they're going down, so he's already got a lot of temperature build up in the front brakes here, and it's been something of a management issue in the last couple of races, Mark, because Indy and this event are quite brake sensitive for these big heavy cars.
Yeah, it shows how close to the limit they are as well. Obviously, all the quick guys are obviously right on the edge, and it'll be interesting to see where he comes out here. Obviously, here's the battle. Obviously, he'll tuck out, but nothing Marcus can do. Quite frustrated there, and he's going to have to come out in third, by the looks of it. So
it'll take a while for it to shake itself out, but it looks like he's dropped in behind Richards and Tander, despite that clear air. But as brake technology continues to improve, we should point out there are many different combinations of brake rotor, brake pad, brake cooling, master cylinders, so the drivers are looking for all kinds of combinations. But when you get to a couple of really critical tracks like this one and up on the Gold Coast, where you build huge temperature and you're really dwelling on the brake pedal for a long period of time in a car that's 1.5 tonnes, some issues can arise. We've seen some problems for Stone Brothers in the last couple of races. We've seen some problems yesterday, and possibly we may see a correction to that today with the Holden Racing team, but they had 2 of their cars go around a total of 3 times. Huge front brake temperatures, so they've had a fiddle with their brake package today. They're trying something different in the rear. The issue is that as the fronts go away, as you know, Mark, the rears don't go away to the same extent, and very often when you get to the end of the stop, the temperature build-up in the rears continued to grow, so they've become more efficient, and that's exactly the opposite to what a driver wants in a car late in the stop.
absolutely, yeah, he needs total feeling through the brake pedal, and he's hitting the pedal very, very hard and so they're in the braking area for a long time for someone like Simmons playing to the surface, so for them to have the feeling of the brake pedal is absolutely crucial for their entry to the corner. And even in the pit stops, obviously the brake temperature will rise. There's no flow coming through the calipers or the brakes in general, so the pit stops as well, the heat soak around that will be, so the pedal could be even longer after a pit stop.
The temperature's up obviously more than yesterday as far as we talk about brakes. The Tasman team have gone back to their brake ducts today purely because of the temperature up today over yesterday.
30 laps to go. Top 9 cars yet to complete their compulsory pit stop. Jason Wright is leading the race, and similar to yesterday, he is staying out long in this pit window between 5 and 29. That's when they must stop for tyres.
52.39, Stephen Richards, position 11 at the moment. We're looking at Garth Tander, will be the corrected race leader. There's Stephen Richards, Marcus Ambrose, Rick Kelly. So that's the order after the stops shake out. We saw a big puff of black smoke before. This is the man that actually leads the motor race, Jason Bright. Yesterday involved in that coming together with Greg Murphy up at the hairpin. His teammate David Brabham in the second FPR entry unfortunately had to start from rear grid. That's Phil Keane, his engineer, talking to Jason. He's got his hands full at the moment.
It's Max Wilson in the Wow Sight and Sound Commodore on the outside. Tries to over and under him at the Ferodo hairpin. Wilson was tangled with Paul Morris yesterday up at the hairpin.
The reason that Phil's asking Jason about the condition of the car is they may look to make a change, maybe a half-pound variation in tyre pressures, or maybe even a little variation in the roll centre in the back of the car. So he wants to try and maximise the performance of the car for the next segment. And but when the driver's busy, it's not that easy to sometimes offer up the answer. But I was going to make a comment about David Brabham. Unfortunately, the onboard camera, the Tiga camera that records the data and all the information out through the front of the screen, wasn't working. And so despite his great drive yesterday, David has had to go to the back of the field for this one.
News today that Jason Bright will have a new teammate next year. It is Mark Winterbottom. We told you yesterday that Winterbottom has left Larkham Orcon Racing, but it has been confirmed today that his new team is Ford Performance Racing.
Darryl made mention before of temperatures, airs up to 23, track temperatures now 36, so substantially up on yesterday. McConville and Bow. And Cam gets around him.
So Bright, Wilson, Jason Richards, Mark Scaife, David Brabham, Paul Morris and Owen Kelly yet to stop. Points are crucial here. Ingle is still the championship leader. This man, Bright, is the race leader, but he is yet to stop.
And he's about to do so. He doesn't want to get tangled up with this group of cars. He was going to come in on the previous lap, and he called Phil and asked to extend by one more lap.
Sure
now he's in.
Is up. Watch your pit lane speed. You've got a nice straight run into pit lane. Come up on the board, mate.
And that just re-emphasises the point that Mark made about stopping on the spot here. And he's right next to those markings, that tape that's on the ground. Rears only. There was a goal. That nut has snagged. It's very, very slow. This has cost him hugely. Oh, unbelievable. So any work that, any good work that was done out there then has just been undone with a massively long stop on the left rear.
And that's hard for the whole team. Obviously, those guys, the mechanic, they're absolutely doing their best, and it's just kicked off for them, unfortunately, there with Jason.
Zinger replay. Take a look at what happens here between Jason Bargwanna, Owen Kelly, and both Larkham Orcon cars, and John Bow.
It was all a bit clumsy, wasn't it?
Yesterday was a reasonably clean race. This one has been brutal, and this poor guy's weekend is going from bad to worse.
That incident, guys, started a little earlier out of the last turn. Bargwanna had a spin on the front straight, so he was only really gathering himself up then and got caught in the middle of that traffic. But Ambrose, I've noticed here, standing on pit wall, has lost time now to Stephen Richards. He's fallen back, but Richards now looking a little stronger than he did yesterday. He's keeping Garth within touch.
That explains why that looked like such an awkward incident, that Bargwanna was recovering from a spin. That's why the pack were all grouped up like that. Lots of damage there. You can see the enormous brake ducts on the front of these cars. The bumper support stays all bent, broken, flat spot on that front left tyre. So that looks a bit second-hand. There may be some suspension and geometry damage on the car. This is John Bow's car. The damage is at the other end of this one. They've got the tin snips out to remove bits of the right rear guard so that it doesn't snag on the tyre. Don't see tin snips in your game too often.
No, it's all over Red Rover if this happens too. Where the other things are very obviously carbon fiber's a different ball game, but it's amazing. These guys get them back. They're trying to get them back out there to get some points at the end of the day, and it's crucial to stay out there. And you never know, safety cars, anything can happen.
Scaife and David Brabham, the only two drivers yet to pit. They've got 9 laps left to do that as the work continues here at Larkham Orcon Racing. Garth Tander, Stephen Richards, Marcus Ambrose, they're effectively the top 3 in this race. And it seems like no one can match Garth Tander's pace here this weekend.
So Mark Scaife is leading the race, but he's actually due in this lap to do the compulsory stop.
Did you ever race here? I don't think you did you?
I did in Formula Ford, yeah,
you?
95. It's the last time I was at the track and also the last time I raced.
Feel the car drop, mate, go.
Front left guard just looks a bit ordinary where it snagged that tyre bundle at turn 2. They slipped that on easy. So quite an efficient stop for Holden Racing Team. And team manager Rob Starr is watching back in Melbourne this weekend after an operation since the previous round at Indy. Yellow flag is flying across the top of our computers, so the safety car is on standby, and that means that someone's buried somewhere in an awkward spot.
Second time this race that the Wright Patton Shakespeare safety car has been deployed. What is it for? We're right on halfway.
There's some debris on the back straight, but it's offline. I don't know if that might have something to do with it, but it's nearly on the grass now, so I don't think they'd be putting anything up for that.
If you've just joined us, special comments coming from Williams F1 driver Mark Webber. It's great to have Mark here. And there it is, you were right, mate. Spot on. Official. Debris on the track.
Oh, there's a bit down there at the head. That's a headlight assembly. Again, you don't see a lot of those in your caper either. It's a bit different brand of racing, but massively intense, Mark. And you probably only get to look up occasionally out of a debrief at Melbourne when you run with these cars around you. But it is and there's the real offending item, the front split of the air dam off the Jason Bargwanna car. But it's a tremendously intense category of motorsport, one that we're all very proud of.
Absolutely, it's it's so competitive. Like I say, on a tight, twisted little circuit, it's very, very easy to. There's debris everywhere actually, yeah. So it's a good time to get everything cleaned up and have a nice, clean run to the flag. But it's a brilliant category. There's no question about it. Some star quality drivers, and every now and again there's going to be some tears, and it's not car racing if there's not. Does
it make much of a ripple overseas? Do you have colleagues or friends commenting on the category in the UK and Europe?
It's not too bad, to be honest. I think it's... I don't know what that's on the track. It
looks like a bit of a bumper support.
Yeah.
Front bumper support.
So I think that, yeah, definitely when we come here for the F1 race in Melbourne, the guys always like to have a look at it because there's always some thrills and spills, but it's quite hard to catch it on TV sometimes over there, but it's a fantastic category, we know that.
So this is where all the bits and pieces stemmed from. So that's the remainder of the front air dam coming off Jason's car. It was deposited back there at turn 6. The front bumper bar support was dropped off in the middle of the sweeper at turn 5. That's what we were looking at a moment ago.
And as we mentioned earlier, Mark Webber is here in Australia to help assist with the launch of next year's Foster's Australian Formula 1 Grand Prix, 30th of March to April 2. And tomorrow in Melbourne's Federation Square is the official launch, and tickets go on sale immediately after that launch, or you can grab your tickets through ticketmaster.com.au. And as well as Mark, Greg Murphy and Jason Richards will be there, plus several AFL players, and our own Billy Woods will be hosting that event. So that's tomorrow at Melbourne's Federation Square, the official launch for next year's Foster's Australian F1 Grand Prix. Track being cleared. And things looking great for Garth Tander at the moment to make it 2 from 2.
A lot of damage on that car after that little drama down at turn 2, but they've got the car patched up again, and it looks like they might be able to send him, because the championship point structure, Mark, really rewards finishing. If you can get out there, you get a surprising bundle of points, and it can make a critical difference at the right end of the day.
As many of you know, our Super Cheap Muscle Mania competition continues, and for all of you who have spent $30 or more at any Super Cheap Auto store and have already entered the V8 Muscle Car Mania comp, here's your chance for some bonus entries. SMS the code V8 Muscle this week to 19775151 to our Australian viewers, and for our New Zealand viewers, SMS 8844. And this week's winner and a friend will receive a workshop tour of Super Cheap Auto Racing and HSV, plus 8 hot laps at Calder Park, and your prize includes flights, accommodation etc. So congratulations, good luck, and you can SMS as many times as you like.
The lights are out on the safety car, so the car will pull off and the field will get going. Looks like they're going to leave that item off on the side of the road. It's well wide of the race line down there, so I don't think it's actually going to cause much of a drama as we go racing once more.
Tander leads, Richard second, Ambrose is third. Can Ambrose do anything about these lead pair of Holdens? Then it's Rick Kelly, followed by Craig Lowndes, Dumbrell, Ingle, more important championship points. But if they stay as they are, Marcus Ambrose eats into Ingle's championship lead. He took 8 points off him yesterday and will take more off Russell Ingle if it stays the same way.
Now that the field's compressed once again, there could be some opportunities for a reshuffle here in a few places. Rick Kelly seems to have had a little bit of speed, but he wasn't quite on the back of Marcus Ambrose at the restart. So if he does have some speed, it'll take a couple of laps for it to manifest itself.
The HSV dealer team were very impressed yesterday, not only with what the boys did in their pit stop, but with Garth Tander's in and out lap. Position move here. Murphy is forcing his way through the field after starting in 20th, and he's just grabbed 9th place from Steve Johnson. Darryl.
Lee, you mentioned in and out laps. I've been watching them during the pit stops here, leaving pit lane, standing against pit law on the exit here. And Neil knows it's difficult here with cold tyres on the rear because it's a right-hand bend when they leave pit lane. And you know, you can only find a 10th on the track, but watching someone like Mark Scaife leave pit lane compared to the others, the amount of time you can find in that in and out lap is amazing.
So important in your game too, isn't it?
Absolutely, and what's tricky for the drivers, they don't obviously get to look at that as often as they do for the rest of the circuit. So for the guys who really want to maybe pinch a little bit more, like Darryl's mentioned with escaping, leaving the pit exit there, it's a dangerous game, but if you can be a little bit more aggressive and try and win a sniff, I mean, it's going to be a 10.5, 2 tenths, maybe a bit more, but it's a very, very worthwhile attending, you know, focusing on it in practice if you can get it really, really perfect.
Frustration for the Holden Racing Team pair of Todd Kelly, Mark Scaife. Scaife is 15th, Kelly is 16th. And keep in mind, they are in the top 5 in this championship, but their hopes are fading.
He's got Max Wilson immediately in front and Paul Radisich in front of him. He's going to be very vigilant when it comes to just managing the cars in and around him in a battle like this because there's so many cars nose to tail. First gear, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth through the big sweeper. There's a glimpse in the right-hand mirror of the car. He's got Todd Kelly behind. This is turn 6, third gear.
Big mover in this field is Murphy. He is on a mission. He's halved his starting position. He's in the top 10. Stephen Ellery is the next one on his list. Ingle is 7. Dumbrell, congratulations to Paul Dumbrell. A stunning drive this weekend. He maintains his 6th. And then it's Lowndes, Rick Kelly, Ambrose, Richards and Tander still leads the way.
It's taken the cars a moment just to settle down again, but the good guys are back in the 52s. Here's Murphy in position 9. Had to tour up to the end of the hairpin yesterday in that contact with Jason Bright. Frustrated about that, but still in with a chance here with a bundle of points on offer. And here's the race leader. 0.7 was the margin the last time across the control line. Stephen Richards second. Ambrose hasn't quite got a response to these leading cars at the moment, but I thought he could be vulnerable to Rick Kelly, and that's not been the case as the race has unfolded.
Mark, this venue has changed considerably. When you were here in 1995, you noticed all of the changes. The government has tipped in millions of dollars to improve the track and facilities.
They absolutely have. I mean, I remember being here with Dad when the Formula Ford out in the dirt and the mud out the back, and like you say, the government can see the vision of having such a great event here to help bring people also from the mainland down to, I mean, it's such a beautiful part of the world, and it's an interesting little circuit. You've got to have different types of circuits around the world. It's been resurfaced, and the guys like the facilities and the pits, the fans, it's very close, so they've got great vision, and that's what you need to keep things flowing along. There's always changes, and it's good to have the, like I say, the vision of the government to do that.
Mark Webber's first Tassie Challenge was very successful. Is the next one going to get off the ground?
Yeah, we've had some very good meetings down here actually, and some actually really exciting stuff for the event. We're looking to try and do something again in November. So yeah, watch this space. Looking forward to trying to announce something probably the week before Melbourne next year.
Lowndes was pretty upbeat earlier. He felt that he had something for the front runners. He's tangling here with Rick Murphy. Rick Kelly, I should say. Beg my pardon. So they're fighting over fourth. And this fascinating battle between he and Rick Kelly is going to reach a climax. Lowndes on the inside. Forceful move, and it works.
Yeah, that was good work, and no scratches on either car. He's been haunting him for the last couple of laps. We saw them arrive up at turn 4 a couple of times. Both of them had the rear brakes locked and were on the limit. This time Craig decided to do a crisscross because he just wasn't strong enough on the exit of 4 to make himself a threat down here. Rick's just battling a little bit more oversteer in the car than he was in the early part of the race, so it's sliding a lot more in the rear than he would like, and they're about half a second slower than the lead 2 cars at the moment, so that's opened up the margin, taking the pressure off Stephen Richards.
Paul Dumbrell is having a look, so too is Russell Ingall. They're in touch with these guys. Lowndes told me earlier today that what he just did to Rick Kelly, he was shaping up to do to Mark Skaife yesterday, but then Skaife turned himself around.
That was a good move, wasn't it, Mark?
Very good move. Like you say, he had a good look at him for a few laps, and it'll be interesting to see if he can obviously edge away now, and obviously he's running out of laps to get to Marcus probably in terms of such a short little track to let's replay here.
Zinger replay shows us what? Matthew White in trouble in the Fujitsu Ford. It's a hot spot up at the Ferodo hairpin. Was he taking evasive action not to hit Anthony Tratt there?
I think he was having his own moment before he arrived there, to be honest. Oh.
Now, oddly enough, that's Mark Winterbottom going off on the outside of turn 6 where all that debris was on the road left by his teammate, Jason Bargwana. So, tough day for Mark Larkham's outfit.
Back at it. It's Lowndes who is up in the 4th spot. It's still Tander, Richards, Ambrose. Then this group here having a fabulous battle behind Ingall. It's Greg Murphy who's got that position away from Steve Ellery. Then behind Ellery, it's Stephen Johnson. That's the top 10. And Jason Richards, Paul Wheel in touch as well.
Released from that battle that he's been in, Lowndes is matching the sector speeds of the lead guys. But just going back to your remark there, Mark, about whether or not he's going to be able to do much about Marcus. He's sneaking a bit of time out of him, but I don't think he's got enough in hand to be able to close down the gap too much. But it does beg the question then as we go into race 3 of this weekend, Lowndes could be in a reasonable position to fight in the last one.
Yeah, car's great. Craig's car looked very strong in turn 1 and 2, and he's getting good traction out of there. And like you said, I think he's definitely got one of the fastest cars that he's dropped really well as well. Richo, Stevens strong as well. Obviously, cars out the front controlling well, so it's all incredibly tight.
The V8 Supercar Gala Awards are coming up straight after the Big Pond Grand Finale, and Network 10 and RPM viewers have a chance to vote for the most popular driver award, and you can simply do that by texting 1990799, and you text the first and last name of your favourite driver for the RPM Viewers Award, the most popular driver, and the votes close on the 25th of November. Only one vote per number, and the cost is 55 cents.
2 lead guys have just recorded 52.7s apiece. Lowndes has also matched that with a 52.7. And the fastest lap of the race so far still sits at a 52.36 with Stephen Richards. Ambrose has gone off at turn 4.
And that has allowed about 6 cars to go past. He is taking caution here and has lost possibly 10 spots or more.
He's ended up threaded back in between Kelly and Skaife, 13th and 14th. Oh, he's got something ugly. Flat tyre.
This has massive implications for Marcus Ambrose championship hopes.
Know which corner it is, Marcus. We can't see anything.
He's a busy boy. He's gone round again.
What a nightmare for Marcus Ambrose.
It's going to be down the left-hand side somewhere.
Head to rear, head to rear. Just a joke, mate. No, absolutely no break.
Ambrose tells us the story.
So this continues to be an issue. They had some dramas at Bathurst. Darrell's down on the spot. Have a bit of a look at what's going on, but you can tell by the body language from Marcus, not happy.
Yeah, Neil, that left rear tyre's just obviously shredded itself, probably from even the run down the fast back straightaway, but you could hear on the radio, and you guys picked it up. No other change other than the left rear, but he says it's a joke. There's absolutely no brakes.
And the reason that they've torn a big chunk out of the left rear is that the fronts have faded off. He's locked the rears and gone up there, and they've been locked for so long.
I've got another flat tyre, mate.
So he's in all sorts of bother here. He's got another problem. He'll have to come in. He's plummeted to the back of the field.
Okay, just take it easy, mate. The right rear.
He's got some other problem, I think.
They're allowed to change both rears, Neil, as a precaution.
Yeah. And while Ambrose's day goes from bad to worse, there is a massive mover in this field, and it's Greg Murphy on a track so difficult to pass. He's gone from 20th to 6th.
It's not going to make much difference.
There's something... it's on the other side of the car. I reckon it's the right rear. Because if he's gone up there, it's a spool diff, so they're both locked together. So if he's graunched it in on the rears... Oh, here goes Greg Murphy on Russell Ingall.
He is flying, Neil. He has just carved this field up.
I'll tell you what, that's a fairly sexy move on the run to turn 1 too. You don't see very many effective moves made there, so well done for Greg getting that one ticked off. And be interesting to see what the shakeout of all this is at the back of the car. And is it the other rear that's also damaged, or is there another problem deeper within?
This is a massive boost to Russell Ingall's championship hopes, because this guy was closing in. Darrell.
Neil, as you can see, Lee, as you can see with the pictures there, they're just going to change the right rear, and he's away again. But I'm going to try and grab hold of Ross Stone here a minute and see what else is going on.
Well, if you go up into that hairpin and you, by definition, have the rear brakes locked in these cars, both wheels are tied together in this category, so it's going to graunch in on the tyre. So it's ripped a chunk off both tyres. So here's the replay. But it'll be because the front brakes are not doing their job. I've already seen some data this weekend suggesting front brake temperatures over 900 degrees. And it's not just isolated in any one spot. A lot of people have been having trouble with brakes. And actually, there's a little bit of damage on that guard there as well, so that could have played a role. Meantime,
that may have very well have been the point that Marcus Ambrose's triple championship stopped. This man, no one is stopping. Garth Tander has been brilliant this weekend. He's on his way home. Final 2.4 kilometres, and it will be 2 from 2.
Checkered flag next time round.
It's good news for Craig Barnes' championship ambitions. He's sitting on 116 points at the moment. Seems to be heading into the third race with a competitive car. Ingall's down in 7th. Ambrose is in nowhere land at the moment. And the two red cars, Kelly and Scape, have recovered to be, in this order, Todd Kelly, Mark Scape, 11th and 12th.
Tander is about to join Scaife and Ambrose as a three-time winner, three-time race winner this season.
Well, I tell you what, there's dust flying down here on pit wall. Ambrose has just gone past here on his outlap after those rear tyres. And Ross Stone's leaning against the wall. We all took a step back. He come past the grass here sideways, and Paul Wheel was off the track as well.
Garth Tander wins race 2 of the Ferodo Triple Challenge.
That was fantastic. Another great stop, great race. Well done.
And Tander sums it up for us. Richard 2nd, Lowndes 3rd, Rick Kelly 4th, and Greg Murphy, in an outstanding drive, has gone from 20th to 5th. That is a superb performance. And the HSV dealer team boys congratulate each other.
It's Matty Nilsson, the engineer for Garth, and those guys justifiably proud of their efforts this weekend. The car's been very good all weekend, very quick. There's Jason Harris with his back to us. Stephen Richards, another fine performance, 124 points to his credit so far. A little bit of a recovery weekend for him after a strong run in qualifying and the shootout. A couple of great race results for him.
And Lowndes with the move of the race. No doubt about that. It was good, forceful, but clean, hard driving. That inside move on Rick Kelly up at the Ferodo hairpin. And Lowndes will be pleased.
He's just ensuring that the rubber's kept clean, not not picking up any debris on those tyres prior to race 3.
VB scoreboard shows us who finished where and who moved or who lost positions. And look at Murphy, 15 positions on a track that is very difficult to pass on. That is outstanding. Time for a break. We will be back and with more from Mark Webber when we return.